Croeso to Wrexham News. I'm Carrie Harper.
And I'm Marc Jones.
And today we're talking to a familiar face that especially football fans will know. And I was going to introduce you as Tomi Caws, but I'm assuming that's probably not the name that was on your birth certificate, Tomi, was it? So
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Do you want to tell us where it comes from?
I suppose it's, I mean, I used to work in Llandudno Creamery for many years.
I see.
It's not a hygiene issue. I need to put that out there first and foremost. But no, and it stuck. It stuck like a particularly dodgy bit of brie or something. But yeah, it's I quite liked it. I took it on board, and I suppose I've built a sort of idiotic character with it, and gone with it really.
And if anybody doesn't know, Caws is cheese in Welsh.
Caws is cheese in Welsh,
that,
absolutely. Yeah. And but Tom Lewis, but yeah, it feels weird to say Tom Lewis. I've known myself as Tom Lewis for a long time. Tom Lewis at home, Tomi Caws when I leave the house. Not to, I didn't know I was a poet until just then.
I was going to say, yeah.
Very good.
We're here to talk about football and its wider context. The last 5 years. Can you describe the last 5 years without using the word fairy tale and Disney?
No, I honestly, Marc, I still pinch myself, and I've still got this muscle memory. I still feel like I'm going to wake up and we're going to board on wood on Saturday. But we're going to places like QPR now, and we're going places like that, and we're going to these massive clubs. For example, the other night, another example of the weirdness of supporting Wrexham now, we were coming out of the Kayleigh having got a draw against 2016 Premier League winners Leicester City, and we were gutted.
Yeah, we were
gutted to get a draw. Just crazy. But there's still that little muscle memory where you sort of go, oh, I'll take a draw. But do you know what? I've got to give a shout out to Phil Parkinson. I mean, we can talk about the owners who have been brilliant, absolutely awesome. But Phil Parkinson's the man for me who's just galvanised everything. And it doesn't matter how many new players come in. I think they all buy into it. And another thing, going on to the community aspect, I suppose, just to see guys like Humphrey Carr and some of the players as well, walking through town, having a coffee, going into Tea Pub. Yeah, it's just brilliant. They've all bought into what this is now.
Because this, obviously, it was the fans that owned it. I think we both know it was the fans who kept the club alive to transfer it to the new owners. Yeah. Have we lost something?
I think that's always the danger, Marc. I think, well, in terms of, it was easier to get a pie at half time.
It's easier to get in.
It's easier to get in. But I think the journey, what they've done well, and, we see it in the Premier League and stuff like that. It's the word sanitised is used. I'm not sure that's the right word, but I mean, certainly, every club has lost a bit of its soul the higher that they go up the divisions, and, your Liverpool, Man United's, but for me, if the little bits we've lost, it sounds a bit sort of crude, but I think it's been worth it to see the knock-on effect, the communities, North Wales. I mean, I'm from Denbigh, and, seeing Wrexham shirts in Denbigh and other towns, is even as far afield as Pwllheli. Seeing Wrexham shirts all over the north is just...
Well, it's not just that, it's worldwide, isn't it? There was somebody posted a pic on WhatsApp this weekend. They were down in Oxford Street in London, and there were Wrexham shirts for sale. Yeah. Well, 5 years ago, the bulk of people in Wrexham wearing shirts were wearing Liverpool, Man U, Man City, whatever. Yeah. And now it's wall to wall.
Oh, absolutely, definitely. And, I've got to say, like, Wrexham people, ever since I first watched my game first game with my Tide, I think Kevin Russell got the winner against Bournemouth. I think it was about 98 or something like that. And, the Wrexham people sort of not just took me in, but all of us Denbigh crowd who came here. But in those days, Marc, I remember sort of vaguely, on a Saturday night, we might go after the game into Wrexham, and you might have conversations with people, and people would say, oh, what are you doing here? Heard the accent, bit different from a Wrexham accent, Denbigh accent, and they'd say, what are you Denbigh lads doing here? And say, oh, following Wrexham. And they'd say, oh, well, I wouldn't bother. And, with a broad sort of Wrexham accent, and I never quite got that, but it is a bit funny to see some of those same people asking for a ticket now and stuff like that. But you know what? That's fantastic. That's brilliant. And Wrexham have always been a big club in this area. There's always been that massive interest. Even if someone only went to 2-3 games a season, they were interested in Wrexham.
It was your team, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And you know what? There was Liverpool fans, Everton fans, whatever, who would follow Wrexham as well. But what's happened now is that Wrexham has just caught the imagination of here, and this town has always been a proud town. And I've always stood up for Wrexham in the sense that maybe you've got to Gwynedd and speak to Siaradwyr Cymraeg, your Welsh speakers over there, and they'd say their perception of Wrexham was proud to be Welsh, but the sort of English, the language aspect as well. But no, that's really sort of narrowed now. And everyone just feels North Walian, proud to be North Walian. I mean, another thing I've got to throw in, when I go to Cardiff for Wales games, I always get, "Oh, you're from Liverpool, mate," with the accent. And it makes me so angry, like, you know what I mean?
Be called a Scouser.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But, now, like, people, they're sort of looking and going, well, we know what North Walians are. North Walians have been brought to a global audience now. So people sort of know who we are, and that's fantastic. It's just, there's so many aspects to what's happened with the club and the ownership and everything that, honestly, maybe we have lost bits and bobs along the way. But in the grand scheme of things, it has just been such a positive story, and just proud to see it unfold, really.
I think what's really interesting to me, just picking up on that point about identity and how sort of Welsh identity has sort of grown in tandem with the club locally, isn't it? Yeah. Because I remember we had David Iwan down, I think, was it 2024? We were talking about the fact that actually Wrexham were the first team to adopt Yma Rohid as the anthem before the Wales team. Right. And just how that pride in sport and identity sort of feeds in societally as well. It's really interesting to watch, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. And I remember some years ago when we played Newport, I think it was, Marc, you might remember, and 2013-ish, not in the final, but here at the racecourse. And David Iwan sang live at the Kayleigh, and the away end and the home end all singing together. And, in the past, people maybe have seen Newport and Wrexham as perhaps anglicised areas of Wales. But everyone belting out Yma Rohid. Yeah. Let's be honest, maybe 70% of the ground couldn't speak Welsh, but listen, everyone was singing it, belting out with pride, and that's an important message, I think. Whether you can speak Welsh or not, we're all Welsh. It's just an accident of birth where you were born, really, schools and stuff like that. And thankfully that seems to be improving. And talking about the language, schools in Wrexham now, there's more appetite for Welsh education and things like that, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. And just another point, you're going to get this a lot with me, by the way, just another thing like that.
Was there a question at the start?
I can't even remember. Marc is all gone now. But the amount of conversations I have in Cymraeg with people in Wrexham who maybe went to Marc and Lloyd, and they haven't used their Cymraeg so much. But after a few drinks, you get chatting. They're speaking like someone from Gwynedd again, and it comes back, and that's fantastic as well.
Yeah. That's really interesting, that, because I feel the time I've lived in Wrexham, 40 years now, it's become more Welsh.
Yeah.
And that's kind of counterintuitive almost.
Yeah.
But it feels far more clear in its identity.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
And so as an outsider, you're picking that up as well.
Oh, 100%, yeah, 100%. I've seen that unfold, definitely. I mean, I've always seen Wrexham as a town that's very proud to be Welsh. There's people, there's always that tribal thing within Wales, but anywhere. And people say, I had to listen to Swansea fans calling us all Scousers leaving the ground. It's a common theme, that, isn't there? I don't know, like that. But yeah, but they might have the accent, but we don't fly Union Jacks in the Kayleigh, do we? So we're not having to go to Swansea here, but
let's keep it.
Let's keep it nice. I've got Swansea fans as well. Swansea fans as mates as well. But no, listen, it's identity is an important thing, and what I've always loved about Wrexham is not uniquely, but they wear it loud and proud. Listen, I wasn't fortunate to go into Welsh language education, but I'm as proud to be Welsh as anyone else within Wales. And thankfully, people are waking up to that and realising that this is a very proud Welsh area.
We were talking amongst a group of friends that we've had 5 seasons, and we were trying to work out what the favourite season was, what the best season was. Yeah. And if I was to throw that at you, and I'm throwing it at you cold.
After the takeover?
Yeah. Well, the 5 seasons we've had, we're in the 5th season now. What would you say was the best season or the best moments, would you say?
I have to say, and people who don't follow Wrexham perhaps might think that's a crazy call, but it would have to be the National League winning season. Yeah. 100%. Do you agree?
That was the genuine consent, because that was the breakthrough moment, wasn't it?
It was, and the outpouring of emotion.
Yeah.
Listen, we've had 3 massive celebrations in this town, have we? In May, it's like the annual promotion party, I call it now. But listen, that first one, and it was the outpouring of emotion. I was working as a journalist at the time for the North Wales Live, and I was sat next to Rich Williams from The Leader, who I was lucky enough to sit with every game near enough that season. And we just hugged at the end. We were almost crying, and it's crazy. And to look back now and we're in the Championship and we're talking about Premier League. We're in the playoffs, Marc. I mean,
this could be a very special season, but I really, you don't want to.
I don't think it'll touch the National League. There's something special because, you'll know yourselves, 15 years in the wilderness, and you alluded to there, Marc, the Supporters Trust, what a job they did, keeping this club alive. We could talk about other clubs 12 miles away, perhaps, who didn't fight as hard to save theirs, but...
Well, the Welsh clubs.
Yeah. It's a club in Flintshire, I think.
Yeah,
but
the biggest club.
Biggest after, I think, Nomads and Fflint Reserves, I think, are the second biggest club now. Just absolutely incredible. And I think it spoke volumes after that National League win. But what were the numbers that they said in here? People said 40,000 on the streets of Wrexham. That's Premier League numbers.
It was mad.
Yeah.
That's Premier League numbers, and we've been lucky enough to have 2 fantastic promotion seasons since. Yeah. Phil Parkinson's a god as far as I'm concerned. I've got to say, I'm an atheist, but he's a god. I believe in Phil Parkinson, but no. And even if we get to the Premier League, I mean, saying those words is crazy. But I still think there was something special about that National League season. And, I don't know if I'll ever feel like that again at a football game, honest to God. I think the nearest thing for that for me was beating Belgium in 2016 with Wales, with Cymru. So that was special, wasn't it? Yeah.
I was hugging strangers there as well.
I tell you what, Marc, in 2015, do you think we'd be sat here talking about those occasions? No. You wouldn't, would you? So it's crazy.
It is living the dream, and it's only football.
Yeah.
But it is so vital. It defines us in so many ways, doesn't it?
Yeah. But it is, in terms of the sport of football. But I mean, just the knock-on effect of community and things like that. And this was an area that was, I suppose you could say, managed decline over the years by various governments and various politicians who've let this area down. But no disrespect to you two here, but this club has done something that politicians have failed over the years in many ways. Present company accepted, of course, but no, and it is just a game at the end of the day, but it is a game that can really galvanise things, and that's what has happened here, 100%.
I think it's shown what can be done.
Yeah.
That whole pride.
Yeah.
Because it's that thing about feeling, actually we're not as bad as perhaps other people have painted us, and we've perhaps believed ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think it's given the people of Wrexham a real sense of we can do stuff.
It's the confidence that comes from that, and you see that, you feel that, even when you're walking around town, it's tangible, isn't it? People are starting to believe in themselves, like you said, which is a game changer.
Carrie, I think nail on the head there, honest to God, because I mean, I'd come to Wrexham once, maybe twice a week for the football, sometimes to see friends, and 10 years ago you'd go through town and there was a lot of people who were visibly struggling, let's say, and just now, and perhaps people financially are not much better off, perhaps sometimes even worse off, but in terms of the feeling of the place is just it's almost like we are struggling through no fault of our own, but you know what, we've got that pride back, and it's here, and it is tangible. It is tangible. And walking through streets today, everyone's smiling. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I talk about mental health and stuff, and I'm quite open about my struggles and things like that. And there's been times where this club and supporting Cymru and things like that, and football has helped me through some really dark times. And I think I'm not alone, because you can see it and feel it in the area around here as well.
That's a really good point, because it's that whole men don't talk about their feelings and emotions, and having people like yourself being very open about it, and people might think, God, he's living the life. He's escaped the creamery and he's doing the job that anybody would want to do. Any kid who loves football would want to do, which is report on your favourite football team. And, so to have you talking about your kind of struggles.
Yeah.
I think is really important, and hats off to you, you know. And I know we've talked about it in the past, but you know, what more could be done, do you think?
Well, I'd firstly like to say the sequel to Escape from Alcatraz, Escape from the Cream Room doesn't sound great. I don't know if Hollywood...
It's a blockbuster, I tell you.
Escape from Llandudno, yeah, I'm not sure that's going to catch on, Marc. But no, listen, I am open about mental health struggles, and you know, there's more that can be done. But listen, I'm just an idiot who's lucky to have a little bit of a platform and not, you know, happy to go in front of a camera and talk rubbish, which thankfully you've given me a chance to do today. But no, you know, mental health and you know, but you know, mental health, we can talk about you know, how the system's failed people in that aspect and things like that. But I go back to the sense of community and listen, you know, you can have as much sort of you know, medical help, or you can have help from the powers that be, the authorities. But sometimes it's just someone putting an arm around someone and say, "Are you okay, mate?" And that's where men fall short at times, you know. And I've got to say, just from a personal standpoint, I've had so many messages since, you know, I'd stopped drinking and stuff like that. I've had really bad issues with drinking in the past, and you know, I've had a lot of messages saying, "Do you know what? I'm struggling as well," from people who you would never ever think, because we all put a mask on when we leave the house, and you know, I've been the king of it, you know, in the past, and I think there's so many people struggling with that. But again, I got to keep going back to football, and it's that sense of community, and you know, when you go to the football, we're all one colour, we all wear the same colour, and we're all one
sense of belonging, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, apart from Chester, they can.
You were doing so well.
I was doing so well. See, I can turn on a sixpence, Marc. I can do it, like, but no, yeah. Now, listen, I'm massive on that, and you know, I'd be genuinely as well if anyone listened to this today with us and felt like they wanted to get in touch with me, or I'm sure, you know, speak for you as well. You know, we can all help each other as a community, and yeah, I think we need to get that back. I feel like, you know, when I was young, 39 now. I know I don't look it, but I'm 39 now. But I look 46.
Nobody's disagreeing with you, are they? That's the problem.
Yeah, there was no nods coming from that direction then, but no. But yeah, you know, I think I look back to years gone by. I think so many things. I'm talking across the board, not this area or Wales in general. I'm talking across the board. I think the sense of community is something that's maybe missing, but what I go back to what this club's done, it's brought it back. And like, people talk about people who perhaps didn't support Wrexham before the takeover, but I've had good conversations with people who said, I was living in the local area and I never really thought I was going to watch Wrexham, but I was searching for something in my life, and Wrexham, going week in, week out, has given me that. And they said it's actually saved me from, and you know, there's so many people who've said that for me. And so that's another aspect, that these guys who've come in, and listen, you can go on the Facebook pages of you know, football fans pages or whatever, and everyone will call it the Disney, or you know,
we are the club that everyone loves to hate.
Absolutely. But I tell you something, in that aspect, probably rather that than people patting you on the head and going, "Oh, we hope you get out."
Poor old Wrexham.
Yeah, poor old Wrexham. Now we can be loud and proud, and but yeah, the people that we've you know, accrued along the way. If you like accrued, it sounds like we're recruiting people.
Harvested.
Such a better word, yeah, harvested. But it's I think it's another aspect that people don't talk about, and we've got a coach that comes from along the North Wales coast, and you know, my Tide said in the 70s people would come from Gwynedd, Pwllheli, there'd be a coach coming every game, and that's back.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And it's also people who, you know, they were struggling for something in their lives, and now this has given them a real sort of purpose and you know, a release on a Saturday as well, which is so important.
Yeah. And this time next year, Tommy,
we'll be millionaires. No,
maybe you will.
Christ, nothing.
Yeah, speaking of politics, they say like sport and politics don't mix, but we're going to go there. You've half gone there anyway. So for us, obviously, political podcast, we're really focusing on May, because there's going to be massive changes politically across the board in Wales in May, one way or the other. For me, it's really interesting because I think sort of the political, I suppose, rise of Plaid Cymru locally. I've seen that happen alongside everything that's going on with the football. You can't really sort of separate all of those things, can you? So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are in terms of the political dynamics, if you've got any, that are coming up in the next sort of 4 months. It's not long off. Because they will really set the tone in terms of what Wales looks like for the next generation, I think, because you've got two drastically different visions there between Plaid Cymru and Reform, for instance, in terms of where we go. So over to you, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's so interesting, isn't it? Because we've never, ever, in my lifetime, I don't think in even my my Nine and Tide's lifetime, for example, that we've seen anything like this. The two main parties be absolutely decimated, and deservedly so as well. They've failed people and they've been arrogant and they've let people down. And, you know, here in Wales, the old saying goes, you know, you could put a red rose out on a donkey and they'd vote for it. You know, that used to be the case across Wales. And you know, now we're looking at, thankfully, there is a shake-up. The unfortunate thing is the other party that are doing well, who shall remain nameless on this podcast for me, but, you know, they're offering something that, well, it's a populist sort of, you know, outlook that they've got. They're saying things that perhaps pander to some people's prejudices, but I believe in the working class. I really do. And I know a lot of working class people are looking at, I'm going to say reform. They're looking at reform and they're thinking they're an attractive option because they're telling you, well, actually, it's not the fat cats and the bankers and the people who've essentially took the piss, sorry for the swear word, took the piss out of the working class for years. These are the same people, by the way. They're just wearing a slightly different shade of blue, and that's what's happened. That's all it is. But unfortunately, they're saying all the right things. They've been very clever. That's the only praise I'll give them. They've been very clever in how they've manipulated people. But I believe in the working class to see through it eventually. I think, you know, these are the shiny new thing, if you like, who have come out of nowhere. And they're saying quite prejudiced stuff, but they're pandering to some people's prejudices. But also, they're trying to say we're offering you a better life, which just demonstrably isn't true. It just isn't true. It's just absolute nonsense. Thankfully, we've got hope as well. And you know, I say, you know, with Plaid Cymru, I look at Plaid Cymru, and you know, I have to put my cards on the table. I've always been a Plaid Cymru voter, but that is conditional. You know, if Plaid went in a certain direction, then I'd have to go elsewhere. I'm not just Plaid through and through. I look at what is the best option for Wales and what is best for the Welsh people.
Probably not an English nationalist party.
An English nationalist party is exactly what it is. Well, the city banker, the millionaire city banker who...
Full of Tories,
doesn't set foot in his constituency in... where is it? Clacton. Yeah, he wouldn't be able to answer that question either. So, where's my constituency? But no, very, very clever man is Mr Farage. But yeah, I've got full faith in the working class. They will eventually see through it, and the polls that we've seen recently it's just filled me full of hope, because I had a little bit of a wobble a couple of months back thinking, the Welsh people are going to vote for an English nationalist party who by the way, the other day, I don't know if anyone saw, they forgot to mention St David's Day in terms of a national holiday. They haven't appointed a Welsh leader, as it stands enough. No Welsh leader.
No Welsh candidates.
No. I had a leaflet through the door, and whether you're a Welsh speaker or not, it should be dwyieithog, it should be bilingual, because we're in Wales, and you know, 500,000 people here speak Wales, if not, you know, speak Welsh, if not more. They can't even be bothered to pay lip service to the language. No. So that just shows you their disdain and their, you know, absolute apathy towards Wales. You know, I think, you know, I'm not here to do a party political broadcast, but for me, it's only Plaid Cymru that can look after the Welsh people. And people also say, you know, Fflint Wrecsam, who I think is just honestly fantastic. And you know, I think what he's done for the party has just been nothing short of phenomenal. I really, really do. And he's a genuine guy. I've been lucky enough to meet him one occasion, and you know, he cares about. He's in his constituency all the time. He's all over Wales. The criticism sometimes has been they all only cared about South Wales. Well, now we've got a guy from North Wales who cares.
Exactly.
He's a guy from North Wales who supports Cardiff, so he ticks all the boxes in terms of wherever you're from Wales. Sorry, Swansea fans again. But no, listen, the last thing from me on that, I suppose, would be, you know, you've got an option. It's hope or it's hate, and that's really all Reform have got to offer for me.
I think on that note, we're pretty much there. So diolch yn fawr iawn, Tommy.
Diolch yn fawr, thanks for having me.
It was brilliant.